Good afternoon, everybody. I'm student meteorologist Evan O'Regan with FSU Weather. We're going to use special severe weather coverage today of the ongoing outbreak across much of the eastern portion of the U.S. right now. We have two high-risk areas. That's a level 5 out of 5, the highest possible risk scale from the Storm Prediction Center today. That's the first time that this kind of risk has been issued since 2021, and it's the first time that we've had two simultaneous high-risk areas since April of 2012. So this is a very rare day for us to experience. So we're going to do a little bit of deep dive here, give you an idea of what's going on and what you can expect going on into tonight, because that level 4, all modes of severe weather, from tornadoes, hail, and high winds, are all factors today, and that are going to be very evident later on this evening and into tonight. So here are those two high-risk areas that I mentioned earlier. So we have portions of southeastern Iowa, including also portions of western Illinois here, also a corner here of extreme northeastern Missouri, and then a second area down here to the south, including southwestern Tennessee, northwestern Mississippi, and also into eastern Arkansas. We've already had a major tornado go through the Little Rock, Arkansas metro area earlier today. About an hour ago, we had a confirmed large destructive tornado on the ground there, and that caused some serious damage. We already saw damage reports from there and video from there as well. There are roofs of homes that are missing, cars that have been flipped over, trees that have been pushed down. So this is a very serious situation, and you can see that here in our tornado risk scale, all the way up to a high risk for tornadoes today, and that includes that risk for potentially strong, violent, long-track tornadoes, and that goes into the overnight hours. So this could be a nocturnal event as well after the sun goes down. So we want to make sure you're getting a way of getting those warnings to your phone. If you don't have those activated on your phone, make sure you do that soon, as soon as you possibly can. Get those emergency alerts activated on your cell phones. If you have a NOAA weather radio, break that out, because you're definitely going to need that tonight. Get those emergency supplies ready, because you're definitely going to need those later tonight if you're in this area as well. So we also have that risk of large hail, potentially 1, 2, maybe even 3 inches in diameter. So that's really excessively large hail, and of course that threat for some high winds as well. So everything is on the table, so let's do a little bit of a deep dive here for what we have going on. So we have this large swath of high available instability. So that's that convective available potential energy, or CAPE for short. We have a lot of that throughout much of the high risk area, and you can see how vast this system stretches all the way down from the deep south here. So places like Little Rock, places like Memphis, Tennessee, stretching all the way up to the Fort Wayne, Chicago area, also towards Des Moines and Cedar Rapids. All of those places could see severe weather today, and there's a high likelihood of that as well. And here's why. We have, again, like I said before in that previous graphic, that high level of CAPE and that instability, but we also have changing of the winds with height, or wind shear. So what essentially this is the winds lower towards the surface are coming more out of the southwest, and then as you go higher up in the atmosphere, they are coming more out of the west-southwest, so that you get that turning with height. That can induce rotation, and that can lead to a higher tornado risk, which is why we have those two high-risk areas that are actually tornado-driven. That's why the high risk has been issued today, because of that threat for tornadoes. And this system is really driven by this big swirling upper-level low here. You can see that on our water vapor imagery. See that counterclockwise swirl? That's the upper-level low that's really driving this severe weather event. You can see already some of the high cloud tops that we have, that the deep moisture that we have in the upper levels of the atmosphere. Those are already some storms that are firing up in Arkansas, Missouri, Iowa, and also Illinois at this hour. So we'll get more into those later. But here's what you can expect tonight and going into tomorrow as well. There is that line coming into, looks like Chicago. Right now we have more of a discrete supercell threat, but it looks like, especially in the northern part of this threat area, places could see those discrete cells merge into more of a solidified line, and that could go through the Chicago metro, also stretching down towards St. Louis as well later on this evening. So about 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central Time. So those could be a threat later on this evening. And we also have still those discrete cells going through places like Memphis and places in western Tennessee here going into the evening hours. And this is past sunset. So this is after the sun has gone down. It's dark outside. You can't see these coming. So especially as we go later in the evening, make sure you are taking any precautions necessary and heeding all warnings that are issued for your area, because you will not be able to see these coming. Don't try and go out and see these, because you will not be able to. And this translates further to the east tomorrow, and it looks like places like Buffalo, New York, also New York City, much of the state of New York, Pennsylvania, also down at the south as well, places like Atlanta, Georgia, stretching down towards Columbia, South Carolina as well. Could see that risk for some storms tomorrow, and then that pushes off the East Coast later Saturday into Sunday. So plenty of rainfall, plenty of severe weather threat for these areas going into the next couple days. There's that aforementioned threat for tomorrow. Much of the I-95 corridor is going to be under the gun for that severe weather as well. It won't be as robust as it is today, only a 2 out of 5. I shouldn't say only a 2 out of 5, but it's still a risk nonetheless for these two areas tomorrow as well. So again, that 95 corridor stretching back into upstate New York, also western Pennsylvania, and then down into the southeast as well, closer to Tallahassee tomorrow as well. So that's really what we have going on, and I'm going to give you a quick rundown of what we have for severe thunderstorm categories as well, because that's a helpful thing for you to realize today, because there could be different levels of severe weather out there today. So we have a typical base severe thunderstorm warning. That's winds of 58 miles an hour or greater, and or hail up to quarter size or larger. So that's a base warning, and then you go up to a considerable warning or a considerable tag. That's when you have damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour or golf ball size hail. And then you get the destructive tag, and this could be what we see later on today when we get that congealing line in Illinois headed towards the Chicago region later on with that high damaging wind threat where winds are in excess of 80 miles an hour and potentially baseball size hail. We've already seen some pretty large hail in Illinois earlier today. Not quite, I don't think, baseball size, but still very large nonetheless. And when you get that destructive tag, that's when it sends out that emergency alert to your cell phone. You can see that buzzing on your, the loud noise on your phone, that buzzing that goes off. So that's really what will trigger that, and that's why you need to have that alert set up on your phone, because then you would miss out on that otherwise. But we're also going to take a look at what some of the tornado terminology is. So we have a tornado watch for many locations right now, actually particularly dangerous situation, a PDS tornado watch for multiple locations in that center part of the country. And that means you need to be prepared. Conditions are favorable for tornado development, so the ingredients are there. And we know that today. We know that this risk has been out there for a couple days now, and today is the day where it's going to really start to unfold. And then when you get that warning, that's when you need to start to take action. That's when you need to find that safe place, that most inner portion of your home, away from doors and windows, and that's because the tornado has either been spotted by a storm tracker or has been indicated by radar. We can see the debris being lofted up into the air. So we also have that tornado emergency as well when we get that into a major metropolitan area. But we also want to make sure we know where to go when those warnings are issued. So if you look at the schematic of the home here, you want to go to the most interior portion of the home. So you want to go into this closet here, the hallway, even the stairs to the bathroom, away from doors and windows, and you want to make sure that you're covering yourself as well. So if you have a blanket or a mattress, something soft to kind of cushion any blow that may come to you, you want to make sure that you cover yourself with that as well. But the safest place to be, if you have this, I know that some people don't have these in the South, but if you have it, the best place to be is the basement because it is underground. So if a tornado comes through, that's the best place to be. Or if you don't have a basement, but you have a storm shelter, obviously you go there instead. But again, you want to make sure you're bringing that helmet with you. Bring a sturdy pair of shoes as well. Make sure you have those to change into, because if you're walking around after a tornado has gone through, you want to make sure that you have those sturdy shoes so if you step down, you don't step on something and end up hurting yourself. So that's another good thing to have. But you also want to make sure you have that helmet to protect your head from flying debris, and again, that mattress or blanket to soften any blows. But if we can, we're going to take a look at the radar right now just to see what we have going on around the area. So again, this is, Aaron, would you mind telling me where this is?
This is Peoria near
okay.
Illinois.
So now we are in central Illinois, just to the northeast of Peoria. We've been tracking this cell for a little while now, and it looks like it's headed towards McLean, Tazewell, and Woodford counties. And this is actually an observed tornado, so we'll take a closer look at this and see if we can see anything on that velocity radar or correlation coefficient. And I'll step back here. Can't really see a whole lot, actually. Maybe right about there, I see it now, right to the east of Eureka, headed towards El Paso, looks like. Do we know, this is Route 24. This is likely where that tornado is. I don't really see anything definitive on the radar. Do you, Aaron? I don't really see anything.
Not really.
Yeah.
I can go over CC real quick.
Okay, we're going to take a look at correlation coefficient. Yeah, it's a little noisy, so we can't really see all that well on radar right now where the tornado exactly is. But like I said, it was observed, so either somebody has seen this or it was previously identified by the radar having debris lofted into the air. So we want to assume that this is still on the ground causing damage, even though we can't see it on the radar right now. So we want to make sure that we are taking our precautions. If you are in any of the aforementioned counties of McLean, Tazewell, Woodford, if you're in, it looks like Secker or down towards El Paso, if you're in any of those locations right now, hunker down, get to that safe place, that most interior portion of your home. If you have a hallway, a bathroom, away from those doors and windows to protect yourself from any flying debris. Make sure you grab that helmet, those sturdy shoes, that mattress or a blanket to cover yourself, and get to that most interior portion of your home. If you have a basement, go there. If you have a storm shelter, go there. So again, this is a tornado warning that's in effect until 3:45 local time for McLean, Tazewell, and Woodford counties, and it was previously observed on the ground. So make sure you're taking those precautions there. What else do we have going on? If we can bounce around to other locations, we have a few more tornado warnings to look at here. This is also Illinois, I believe, for Warren County. Looks like, again, until 3:45, so expiring in about 4 minutes here. Looks like it has moved out of the storm has moved out of the warning polygon, but still, we still have a few minutes left, so stay in your location if you are in this area right now. So looks like it went through Monmouth, but again, this storm is going up to places like Ontario with a severe thunderstorm warning in further down the line. So again, make sure you're in that safe place. Don't move from there because the warning is still in effect. I'm going to quote James Spann here, respect the polygon. We want to make sure we're heeding that today. But again, those are words to really live by today because you don't. If you're in the polygon, that means that there's a reason why you're in the polygon. You have that threat for that tornado to come through. So if there's anything else that we need to look at here elsewhere, looks like we don't have a whole lot to look at on the velocity for that area. It looks like the storm is moving out of Warren County and more towards the northeast. We also have storms, I believe this is also in, is this Iowa or are we still looking at Illinois?
This is Iowa.
This is Iowa, okay. So we're now in Iowa. This is another observed tornado warning for Wapello County until 4 p.m. Central Time. So this goes until another 18 minutes from now. And this is again moving off to the northeast. Aaron, I know that these storms have been moving at around highway speed, so 55, 60 miles per hour. Do we know how fast this could be moving here towards the Hendrick area? We'll put a little time tracker on this. It looks like, again, well, these times are not correct, but these towns are. So if you see your town on this map right now, make sure that you're taking precautions because this is moving up to the, yes, and this is going to be Central Time. So this time is Eastern, this time is Central. So this goes until 4 o'clock Central Time. So that's 17 minutes for these warnings to still keep going. And again, we'll see this go off to the northeast. So places like Compatine, Linby, Packwood, Richland, Rubio, you're next in line for the storm. And we could actually see downstream, this storm has been tornado warned again. So they still see the rotation on the radar, the National Weather Service does. So there's a reason why that they're extending this warning even further to the northeast. We could throw on velocity to see where we could potentially see some rotation. It looks like, yeah, right in there. That's where we could see some of that rotation headed up to the northeast. So again, if you're in this warning, you want to make sure that you're staying in that safe place, get to that most interior portion of your room, and there it is. There's that rotation right going through the Compatine area right now, headed off to the northeast at around highway speed. So if you're in this area, you don't have a whole lot of time to react to this because it is moving very, very quickly, and you likely will not be able to outrun it. So if you're in the tornado warning right now, if you're in that polygon, make sure that you're taking cover right now because you will not be able to outrun this. And we throw on correlation coefficient and see if we can see where this tornado actually is. It's a little noisy, but there is a little bit of debris, looks like being lofted or potentially hail right here, again, in that Compatine area. So as this races off towards the northeast, make sure that you're taking cover because we know that this day is conducive for producing these kind of storms. So Wapello County in Iowa right now, for the next 16 minutes, you are under a tornado warning with an observed tag on this. So this has been either seen by a storm tracker or it has been confirmed by radar. So we want to make sure that you are staying in that safe place and getting to that lowest, most interior portion of your home. I think we have other warnings in Arkansas as well. Like I said earlier, we saw that very destructive tornado go through Little Rock, the metro area of Little Rock, Arkansas. And yes, we still have several tornado warnings here in Arkansas. This is one of the two that went through the Little Rock area previously, and it doesn't look like it has an observed tag on it, which is a good thing. However, it is still indicated by radar that we could potentially have some rotation associated with this storm. So we, again, want to make sure that we're taking cover that most interior portion of your home for Lonoke and Prairie counties for the next 15 minutes, again until 4 o'clock Central Time. And again, this is right along Interstate 40. And we've already seen damage in this area previously from a cell that went through earlier today. So people that may not have power need to be aware of this. If you're watching me in Arkansas right now, if you don't have any power, listen to my voice. You want to make sure that you're going down into the most interior portion of your home, away from doors and windows. Get to that basement if you have it. If you don't have a basement, you want to make sure you're going to a closet, a bathroom, anything that will protect you. Put as many walls between you and the outside as you possibly can. If you have a mattress, grab that. Grab that off your bed. I know it may make a mess later, but grab that mattress off your bed. Grab a blanket if you can. Cover yourself with that. Grab a helmet to protect your head. Grab some shoes for yourself so you're not stepping on any debris and hurting yourself that way. Again, because we've had damage already from these storms, and we still have more to come. We have more down the line, and this is going through much of the evening tonight. I believe the PDS tornado watch for this area goes until 8 o'clock Central Time, so we still have several more hours to go of this. So we want to make sure that we're still being cognizant of these warnings. And it looks like we jumped back up to the Illinois area. Again, this is a widespread event. So it's not just Illinois, it's not just Iowa, it's Arkansas, it's Mississippi, it's Tennessee, it's Texas. We have so much to cover here, and this is a very rare event. We don't usually see something like this happen, but again, there's a reason why we're doing live coverage today. It's because of the high-risk event that we have going on. So this is again, a tornado warning for Lonoke and Prairie counties until 4 o'clock. So again, much of this area has already seen cells move through that have been tornadic. We saw a major tornado go through the Little Rock metro area earlier, throughout the northern Little Rock metro area, that caused extensive damage. I saw earlier that there were pictures that roofs have been ripped off of houses, walls have been collapsed, and there was actually a home that had the exterior walls missing and some of the exterior rooms as well, but was left standing was the most interior portion of the house, and that was the bathroom, closet, something away from doors and windows. So if you can go there right now, that's the best place to be for this type of event. Is there anything else that we need to be looking at upstream of these down? It looks like Interstate 30. Yes, we do have a couple of more tornadic storms to the west of Little Rock, the southwest of Little Rock. So yes, we have another tornado warning until 4:15 Central Time. So that's another half an hour or so. Approaching the Highway 371 area here in Hempstead and Howard counties. So that's just to the southeast of Nashville. And that's again moving off to the northeast. These storms, like I said before, are moving quite rapidly. They're moving about 50, 60, maybe even 65 miles an hour. So that's highway speed. You're not going to be able to outrun this thing if you are trying to do that. So if you're on the roadways, you want to make sure that you're pulling off the roadways. Do not park under an overpass. That's probably the worst thing you can do during a tornado, because if you do that, the winds that go through the overpass create a wind tunnel. So the winds are even stronger under a bridge. You do not want to stop there. So if you can, pull off the road, find a convenience store, something where you can protect yourself, or a shelter like that. So again, for Hempstead and Howard counties until 4:15, this is another radar indicated cell with that rotation that is apparent. Chandler, you want to take it from here?
Absolutely. Yeah, again, it's an evolving situation like Evan mentioned. This is probably a once in a generational type of event. Multiple tornadoes across both the states of Arkansas and Iowa, and we'll continue to see that develop as we see this system progress east of the Mississippi River, going into Illinois, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Missouri is also seeing some of this issue as well. But again, we have this tornado warning that's active inside the severe thunderstorm warning, and we continue to be active until 4:15 p.m. Central Time. With all these storms, they have the potential of dropping not only tornadoes, but we also could see large hail. That is a big major hazard with all these supercells that we are currently seeing pop up across Arkansas and even Iowa. And in addition, with this system, we're also seeing very strong winds. So again, it's a very dynamic situation at play, but as you can see, there's a lot of severe thunderstorm warnings. A lot of these are for large hail and strong winds. So, but a decent amount of them probably have a tornado possible tag, and of course we have this tornado watch in effect all across the mid-Mississippi and lower Mississippi river valleys. But now we'll get closer to Chicago, and now we're in northern Illinois. We can see multiple severe thunderstorm warnings that could very quickly become tornadic, and we have tornado possible tags even with a few of these. Of course, with this, we have source radar indicated a very strong thunderstorm, and it has a little bit of a hook at the end, so we could possibly see this develop into a tornadic supercell here in a second. But this is live until 4:15 p.m. Central Time, and it is for counties of Bureau and Putnam. So again, it's going to be racing towards that Chicago metro area, and that's what we see with all these systems, all these storms all across northern Illinois. But again, the tornado warnings, that's what we really want to emphasize right now. We have multiple, and this is another one in Iowa. So we have this in effect for the county of Wapello, and it is observed. So we have an observed tag with this tornado warning. It is in effect till 4 p.m. Central Time. The rotation, you can still see a little bit of rotation, but not quite. So we are starting to see that maybe this storm is starting to cycle through, maybe even potentially dissipate a little bit. But for now, while it's still active, we need to continue to respect the polygon and stay inside, stay in your homes, away from windows, on the first floor, preferably in a basement if you have that. Again, just make sure that you're staying safe and weather aware. Make sure you guys have your NOAA weather radios. If you do have those, make sure they're on. If you do not, make sure your phone is completely charged in case you have power outages. We want to make sure that you have that capability of at least receiving emergency alerts through your phone or through that weather radio. So again, two primary sources. Make sure you have at least a few ways to get information on this ongoing event. But again, you can kind of see the frontal system in general, multiple severe thunderstorm warnings and a few tornado warnings. We'll go back down to some of these in Arkansas real quick. Yes, we'll go with this one, which was associated with a supercell that produced tornadoes on the ground near Little Rock earlier. And it still has that radar indicated tag, so now we're not necessarily sure if this is confirmed, but it has that classic hook echo shape. What we're looking for there is basically we're looking at the wind circulation. A hook echo really signifies that you have both winds that are coming down and up and also twisting at the same time. So that's basically what we're looking for when we're looking at these presentations on the radar. But again, we have tornado warning for, until 4:30 Central Time for Monroe, Prairie, White, and Woodruff counties. It is radar indicated. We have a little bit of circulation that you can tell. You zoom in a little bit more. It's a little bit chaotic because, again, this is multiple different warnings here for severe thunderstorm and also tornado. But you can see a little bit of that contrast in circulation, but it's not quite clear. So we're going to continue to monitor the situation. But it could possibly produce a tornado, and that's why it has that tornado warning on top of it. We don't really see any debris signatures, which is what we look for with this product here. This is your CC values, and basically the lower the value, the less correlated it is with raindrops. So if it is less correlated, that basically means it has a shape that's completely different from a raindrop. And we'll probably continue to use this product all evening long because it is great at detecting if you can see possibly debris alofted, such as people's homes and cars even. But with this, there is that nasty hook, but we're somewhat not really seeing the circulation associated with it at the moment. Going down the line, we can still see multiple different discrete cells that will continue to pop up for the rest of this evening because we have such a dynamical atmosphere. But here we have another tornado warning. It is in effect till 4:30 p.m. Central Time for counties of Hempstead and Nevada. And it is also radar indicated. This one does not necessarily have that hook echo shape, but that does not matter for producing a tornado necessarily. It still can produce something that will impact your life forever if you're not taking the precautions. We are a little bit further away from the radar, so we cannot really tell that rotation again. We can see a little bit of a difference in colors, and that is what we're looking for. We're seeing a little bit brighter versus darker green, but we really want to see those reds to really know for sure where that rotation couplet is. But the National Weather Service does have that cell warned, which does indicate that they at least believe that it has the potential of dropping a tornado. It is radar indicated, and again, make sure you're seeking shelter if you're in Hempstead and Nevada counties. Now we'll scoot down a little bit further south, and with this cell in mind, again, this is even further away from the radar, so it's going to be a little bit harder to tell what we're looking at with this one. But it's coming towards Boston, so if you are in Boston, is that Boston, Texas? Yes, Boston, Texas. Make sure that you are seeking shelter. We have another cell that is pulling through, and the tornado warning is till 4:15 p.m. Central Time for Bowie and Little River counties. It is radar indicated. Bowie. Bowie. All right, there we go, Mr. Texan. He'll actually come on here in a second to talk more about the situation. But again, we have a lot of these severe thunderstorm warnings and tornado warnings, and we're just a little bit too far away from this radar to really show you guys the presentation, but overall this whole entire system is large and in charge. We have warnings and watches stretching all the way from Wisconsin all the way down to Texas. This is a large event. It is going to cause multiple tornadoes, multiple hail events, and wind events. Of course, just to reemphasize, up here in the north, we're looking at both a tornado and a wind-driven event primarily, while here in the south, we're seeing that tornado-driven event, but we're also having the potential of large hail. So that's kind of the dynamic, the difference between the north and south, but it's not that much of a difference in terms of impacts to livelihoods. So again, if you're within any of these watches, these tornado watches, you should be making sure that you have multiple ways to get weather information, both through NOAA weather radio, your phone, but make sure you're relying on multiple sources, including TV as well. But just make sure you have multiple, because you could have power outages that could cause you to, that could restrict your information flow. So again, here's our tornado warning that we've been really monitoring. It has that nasty hook echo shape. Let's go back to the rotation, to the velocity, and just see. Again, it was really hard to see it on radar. It's not presenting very well, but there is a possibility of a rotation couplet in here. It's just not presenting itself very well. But this is for counties of Monroe, Prairie, White, and Woodruff. This tornado warning is going towards Cotton Plant and going towards our roads. It's going along 33, Arkansas 33. And right now, it's really over Disark. That's really what we're trying to highlight here. It's really hard to tell with the rotation, but again, it is somewhere over here if there is a tornado being produced. But since this is a tornado warning, we have to assume that there is a tornado in this polygon. So make sure you guys are taking shelter if you're along Arkansas State Route 33 going towards Cotton Plant and Fargo. So that's really our area of interest right now here in central Arkansas. Again, we can look back at these correlation coefficients, and it's really, the presentation is quite hard to take. Basically, it's really hard to read at the moment, just because we have a lot of interference across the different parts of our radars right now. But for the most part, again, we're looking at this hook echo shape involved with this supercell. And it is right now over Disark, and it will continue to move across Arkansas State Route 33. And that is our main concern. It could produce a tornado at any moment if it's not already producing one. So make sure that you're respecting the polygon and taking shelter. And also, along with this, this is a very strong supercell in general. You can see the radar presentation is really showing a nasty supercell that has these strong updrafts and downdrafts. What that means is that you could see a lot of hail with this event as well. So even if you're north of the tornado warning, you could still expect large hail. So even in Georgetown, you guys are probably seeing some hail right now, and then we'll continue to possibly see it going eastward and approaching again that Mississippi River. But we'll zoom back out and just look again at the overall presentation. We have more severe thunderstorm warnings off to the west in more northwestern Arkansas, but these will continue to pop up as the cold front basically slowly makes its way towards the Mississippi River. This will be an event that lasts probably at least till 9, 10, 11 p.m. Eastern time. So this is a long-lasting event, and it will continue to last for multiple different communities. Right now, we can go back up maybe to Illinois and take another look at those supercells in there. There's a lot of severe thunderstorm warnings across the area. So again, along I-39 or going towards I-39, we have multiple supercells, and we have a new severe thunderstorm warning in effect. We have this one though that's in effect till 4:15 p.m. Central Time for the counties of Bureau and Putnam that we were talking about earlier, and it is radar indicated, and this is one of those situations where it could possibly produce a tornado at any moment. So if you are along I-39 going east towards Chicago, any of that region, you guys will start seeing these really strong supercells make their way towards you. And any of these could turn tornadic, and that's what the National Weather Service right now is really keeping an eye on as this situation evolves. But we'll go over now to Iowa and see what's going on over there real quick. So again, we have multiple severe thunderstorm warnings, and this is actually more of a linear setup, although it is still cellular. You can still see a few cells involved with this line of storms, but now it's really starting to become more of a linear event. Now, what does that mean? It still means that it's going to be very impactful, both in terms of wind and in terms of hail, but we still have that tornado warning in effect till 4:30 p.m. Central Time for Poweshiek County. So again, this is another one of those situations that's dangerous and evolving and continuing. So now we have this tornado warning that's pushing across U.S. Highway 9. So if you're in Brooklyn, or if you're east of Brooklyn going towards Williamsburg, you guys are going to see this line of storms push through that could produce a tornado, or at the very least, produce very strong damaging winds, maybe even some hail. So again, Brooklyn, you guys are under the gun. There is some rotation with this storm. This one, we can see that conflict of reds and greens that indicates, again, circulation going towards and from the radar. And so when we're looking at this rotation, we're expecting that there's at least a wall cloud, if not a tornado on the ground. So make sure, actually, we have that source saying observed. So now we're seeing that this tornado actually is on the ground. So it is a dangerous situation, especially if you're along that U.S. Highway 6. So if you're in Brooklyn right now, you guys need to make sure you're seeking shelter immediately. You have no lead time right now. You have no lead time. But if you're east, let's actually take a look at the projections for communities east of this warning. Can you get that brought up, Evan? There we go. Awesome. So we have Brooklyn at 4:21 p.m. and Hartwick at 4:59 p.m. So those are two communities that we could see really quickly this event unfold for them. So make sure if you guys are in these communities that you are taking shelter immediately. We also see Cusca is also in the risk for this as well. So we'll continue to see this event evolve, but now we'll actually toss things over. Now we'll actually have Robert come on the wall to talk more about the event as well.
All right, thank you, Chandler. Again, we have a very developing situation. We're going to make sure that you are staying tuned to FSU weather all throughout the rest of the day and the evening. We'll continue our severe weather coverage for this high-risk severe weather outbreak. Right now, again, we're focusing on the tornado setup, and it's going to be going throughout the high risk in the north, and we also have another high risk in the south. So we're just going to go through all these tornado warnings, and we're going to go through them one by one, just to make sure that everyone is caught up with this setup here. So again, right now we have in Iowa here, Let's start here with this northern batch right here, just south of Waterloo, along Interstate 80. So if we could zoom in on these right here, and we'll just go through them one by one to make sure that everyone in those counties is currently being informed of what's going on here. So we have this tornado warning. This is an observed tornado warning. It's a particularly dangerous situation, considerable threat for Keokuk and Washington counties. So Sojourner, Washington, and we have this, this box right here. This is where your tornado is happening right now. We know there's a tornado on the ground. This is right where that notch is, so you have the inflow going into the storm right here. It's moving off towards your north and east. So again, if you're anywhere west of the city of Washington, and you're in Washington County, you need to be taking shelter right now, and Keokuk County as well, you need to be taking shelter immediately, because this is a particularly dangerous situation. We have this circulation right here. Now, usually when we're talking about these, we say reds and greens, but sometimes if you're at a specific distance from the radar, you can just see greens and higher greens. That can also suggest there is a circulation there. So this right here, we're watching this area for a circulation. That's where we'd expect with what we saw on the radar, with all of those, with all that sort of inflow notch with that storm right there. This one is until Friday at 4:15 p.m. Central Time, 4:15 Central Time. So again, Keokuk and Washington counties, you need to be in that lowest level interior room right now. And this looks like it could be a debris ball right there. That does line up very well with where that tornado is. And we just had a new tornado warning issued for it. Not sure exactly what the listing on it is. It's observed and considerable, so it's a tornado warning. Again, counties, now it's been expanded towards Iowa County, Johnson County, Keokuk County, and Washington County. So if you're in the city of North English, in the city of Keota, in the west of the city of Kelowna, anywhere in that area, you need to be taking shelter right now. When we say take shelter, go to a lowest level interior room. So anything on the first floor or basement of your house. Basement's best, first floor if you don't have a basement. Go to a bathroom or somewhere close to the center of your house that provides as much space between you and the outside walls as possible, because you just don't put as much space between you and this potential storm. So we have this considerable threat right here. Let's move up to this one just north of it, or we'll do a track here just to see who is in the path here of this storm. So Harper, Keota, Ken Ross, Wellman, and Amish right there from 4:13 p.m. Central Time. All these times here in the center of our screen are Central Time. We're broadcasting from our studios in Tallahassee, so that's why you have this time up here is in Eastern Time at the far top, so don't focus on that one. But here we have this storm. It is going to be going from Harper at 4:13, Ken Ross at 4:21, Amish at 4:32, and Keota at 4:16, Wellman at 4:26. Take shelter if you're in any of those cities or in that warning at all right now. We need you throughout all these storms today. If you get a warning, just take shelter. Just assume that this is the one. We need you to take shelter right now. With any of these storms today, they could be tornado producers. So let's go to the north of that one. That's 3 tornado warnings at complex right there off of Interstate 380 and Interstate 80. And this is going to be a threat that we're watching for Cedar Rapids in the future. So if you're in Cedar Rapids, we need you to be going into your shelters as well, because this tornado warning is going close to you. You're not under the tornado warning yet, but really at this point, it's just better if you take those precautions before you get there. Rather be safe than sorry. But Belle Plaine, anywhere in Benton and Iowa counties, is an observed tornado. So we know it's on the ground. We need you in Belle Plaine to be inside that interior lowest level room immediately. Also, we have the second warning up here, if we could just get the details on that one as well for what counties that is in. We have just southwest of Benton, south of Traer. This is for Tama County until 4:45 p.m. Central Time. This one's radar indicated, but at this point, for any of these tornadoes, just assume they're on the ground. There's really no difference in how you need to prepare for them. Just go to that lowest level interior room immediately, and we will take care of you on this broadcast here, making sure you know where all of these storms are. So this is until 4:45 p.m. If we go back down to the one right below, just to update for the timing on that one, it's 4:45 as well. And again, Cedar Rapids, you're not under that warning immediately, but it's probably a good opportunity for you to get into that shelter right now, just because of the nature of this situation, the nature of today's setup here. US 30, US 151, US 6 is north of it, and right there, it looks like we have a good amount of circulation. It looks like you might have a little bit of range fold in there as well. So I'm just trying to figure out where the circulation is for it, but we do see a very broad area of rotation, and this is observed, so we'd expect it to be there. It's been observed by a spotter, so we know there's a tornado on the ground. So just take this situation very seriously. Or let's zoom out from here, and let's just go a little further south to the next tornado warning here. We have, again, this long line of severe thunderstorms that we are watching. So if you're under a severe thunderstorm warning, make sure you're taking those seriously as well, because they can pack a punch with large hail and damaging winds. But let's go a little further south from here, and we have for just south of Quincy. So this is a tornado warning as well, just northwest of St. Louis. Right there you see this is a pretty well-defined supercell. It's radar indicated, but just treat it as if it's on the ground. We have, again, for Hannibal, it's for Adams County, for Marion County, for Pike County, and Rawls County. This one's until 4:45 p.m. Central Time. We have a big inflow notch right there, so I'd expect there to be a situation where we have rotation. We're getting a little worried about it, and you can see you have those reds and those greens right there. I wouldn't be surprised if we have a tornado potentially from this setup. So Hannibal, we need you to be inside that lowest level interior room right now. Looks like, that could be, this is correlation coefficient we use to detect debris potentially being there. Sometimes it depicts hail, but also larger, more defined drops closer to whites and blues of correlation coefficient and towards black can suggest tornado debris, and that is a little more defined, so that's something we need to watch out for in our next few scans. Beverly, I want you to be inside that lowest level interior room as well, making sure you're putting as much space between you and the tornado as possible. And I also want to say, make sure, one, you're taking your friends and family with you, taking your pets with you, because this is a dangerous situation. And in case you have family and friends that don't know about this setup yet, please make sure they do. Contact them, because there are some people that might not know that today is a dangerous severe weather day for much of the Midwest and the Deep South. Hull 4:15, Richfield 4:23, Beverly 4:27, and Chestline 4:30 p.m. So again, we have this setup right here we're watching with this tornado. Let's go a little further south with this one. We're just going to go down the line, making sure we're getting everyone covered. I believe this is the furthest south tornado warning in the northern complex, so I think we'll need to go down to Arkansas next, and we'll just go from there. Yes, okay, so we have this storm just west of Memphis. Memphis, you're going to want to watch these storms once they get to you. They are going to pose that threat for tornadoes and damaging wind. So let's talk about this one right here on Interstate 40 between Little Rock and Memphis. And we also have some severe thunderstorm warnings as well. So even if there is not a tornado threat for some of these storms, we want you to still be taking caution. But we have a tornado warning here. It's until 4:30 p.m. Central Time for Monroe, Prairie, and Woodruff counties. It's radar indicated, and this is that area where we have, when we point out, we're going to go through the rest of the night tonight, probably talking about a lot of notches, a lot of inflow. What basically that means is we have a big rush of wind into the storm, and it's really providing that ability for this tornado to start cycling and rotating and actually forming that funnel cloud, making it a dangerous situation. So we have this area right here. It looks a little bit like favorable for an inflow notch, and as we point out right here, velocity. We're seeing those bright reds and darker reds, and what that indicates is there could be an area of circulation right here. So we're watching until 4:30 p.m. for Monroe, Prairie, and Woodruff counties. Just north of the city of Cotton Plant along US 49, that area, make sure you're taking that shelter right now. You want to go into that lowest level room, and we do have a new tornado warning for that storm as well, and it's just an extension of it into Woodruff County for Friday until 4:45 p.m. Central Time. So again, we're just going to go through all these, make sure we're getting through everyone on this list here. We're going to go a little further south and west. So now basically along I-30. If you're traveling along I-30 at this point, anywhere between Memphis and Dallas, I want you to just sort of hold off for the day. It's not really a good situation. You don't want to be driving right now, or I-30 and I-40, excuse me, from anywhere from Memphis until Dallas. That area is, you don't want to be driving, because if you're caught in the middle of a storm, it's going to be dangerous conditions. Even if there isn't a tornado, blinding rain, damaging winds, and hail will also be factors. So Arkadelphia, north of you, this is the Interstate 3067 corridor. Friday at 4:45 is when this tornado warning is going to expire. This is where we have this area we're watching, this storm. A little bit of inflow there as well, just west of southwest of Donaldson. So we're again concerned for this, and it looks like we have potentially a little bit of circulation there, a little bit higher up in the radar here, so it's a little harder to see. But the Weather Service is confident there's a chance for a tornado. So Donaldson, I want you to be inside that lowest level interior room right now. US 270, making sure west of US 270, south of I-30, making sure that you are inside as close to the center of your building as possible. Put some protection between you and this tornado. We'll go down to this one right here, Clark and Pike. It's until Friday at 4:30. It's radar indicated, and we have some more information.
Yeah, I want to go back up to Iowa for a second.
Okay. More information from Iowa. We will get back to you in Arkansas in just a second. We have a breaking news update from Iowa. Damaging tornado on the ground. We do know this. It is going to be just west of Kelowna, southwest of Iowa City. This is observed, and it's a considerable threat, so this is a particularly dangerous situation. That's a rare tag. You don't often see it for tornadoes. They only do it when it's a damaging tornado on the ground. The Storm Prediction Center actually outlined this area as having a high potential for a damaging EF2 plus tornado, as they listed in their most recent mesoscale discussion for this area. Right here is just north of Keota. We want you in Keota to be. We know you have tornado shelters in that area. If you do go there right now, you don't have much time in the city of Keota. Southwest of Kelowna, east of North English, south of Williamsburg. Go if you don't have a tornado shelter and you don't have a basement. Basement's almost as good as a tornado shelter. If you don't have either of those, go to that first floor and center to the closest of that building as possible. So here's a track for this storm as well. And we'll get back to the ones in Arkansas. Keota at 4:17, 4:23 p.m. Nera, 4:27 p.m. for Wellman, and 4:32 for Amish. So if I'm naming your cities at any point during this broadcast, we want you to be inside your shelter as close as possible. Okay, we're going to close things out here in a few, about 30 seconds. We're going to get to the ones in Arkansas real quickly, make sure we got everyone down the line here. So that one just southwest of Arkadelphia, we have a tornado warning for that one, and then we do have 2 in Texas. So we'll just go through them very quickly here. We have these for Hempstead County, 4:15 p.m. Radar indicated. We want to make sure that you are getting into that shelter as well. City of Texarkana, it looks like it might go a little bit north of you, but don't trust us on that. We want you to still be taking your shelter. I'm just trying to inform you where this is. So for Bowie and Little River counties, and that is going to be until 4:15 p.m. as well, radar indicated. Looks like that one might have actually expired. So good news for those of you in Texarkana, but still stay aware. Finally, we have this one in Tyler. So for Tyler area, and it looks like that one has also expired. So very good news for you in Tyler, but still tornado possible with this severe thunderstorm warning. So making sure that even though it's expired, with this kind of setup today, we can expect these storms to still rapidly cycle and get that tornado threat very quickly. So even if you're under just a severe thunderstorm warning, good idea for you to still take shelter. So again, we have this a large severe weather setup going all the way from Wisconsin in the north to Louisiana in the south, Texas in the west, and Indiana in the east, and it will continue the rest of the night. We will keep you updated right here on FSU Weather. We will be joining our normal broadcast here at 6 p.m., and then after that we'll be continuing our severe weather coverage. Stay tuned right here for more severe weather coverage.